Good morning, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. I am so excited to be hosting today's virtual cafe for women entrepreneurs. And so if you don't know me, my name is Kerry, and I am the project manager for the We Can project, which is led by Queen's University and is funded by FedDev Ontario through the Women Entrepreneurship Strategy Ecosystem Fund. And so it is such a pleasure to have you with us today. We're going to be sharing some of our wins today, and I hope that everyone will participate. I know there'll be a few more joining us as well, but the exciting thing about today is that there's such a difference in the topics we cover in these workshops. Just last month, we were talking about imposter syndrome, which was a very vulnerable topic. It was, very emotional, in fact. And I love how this one is like the polar opposite. It's like, now we're going to just brag a little bit about what is going on. And sometimes I feel women are almost as reluctant to share their wins as they are to talk about imposter syndrome, because it's two different, ends of the spectrum. But today is all about being bold. It's about being courageous, and it's about being unapologetic about your own success. And so I hope that if you came just interested in listening, that you might actually get inspired and end up sharing as well some exciting news, perhaps that happening within your business, whatever it might be. So as we get started today, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment just to drop a note into the Zoom chat, let us know what your business is. If you have a website, we would love to know what that link is, or if you'd like people to know about your social media links of any type that we can follow along. And let us know what corner of the world that you are joining us from. I think most folks are from the greater Kingston region today. But let us know, and the Quinte region, I should say. So let us know. And as you do that, I just want to take a moment to read an Indigenous blessing today, because of course we are connecting to this workshop from the ancestral lands of the First Nations. And so in my particular case, I'm connecting from the Bay of Quinte region, which is the traditional First Nations territory of the Huron, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And so as I was preparing for today, I actually found a beautiful Indigenous blessing for International Women's Day that was shared by Pass the Feather. And if you're not following them already on Instagram or checking out their website, they have some beautiful writings, as well as some very challenging writings as well. So I would love for you to check them out. So this is for you today, and for anyone who is listening in the future through the YouTube channel. Here it is. It's written by Dawn, also known as She Keeps the Feathers. May Grandmother Moon embrace you in your darkest hours. May the sun brighten your cloudiest days. May the waters cleanse your saddest memories, and the stars take your loneliness away. May the west wind push you forward. May the east wind hold you up. May the north wind awaken your spirit, and the south wind hug you from behind. May the birds mend your broken heart. May the medicines ease your pain. May the flowers remind you of happiness, and the thunders bring you rain. I just thought that was such a beautiful and simple thought for today, because we have been through some times, haven't we, in the past couple of years? And as women, it has been a time that we have had to be resilient. So I hope that one of those lines today connected with you. And I'm going to be I'm hoping to drop the graphic today into our We Can community of women entrepreneurs Facebook group to share it there as well. So I hope you'll check it out. All right, so the format today is that we are hoping to hear from you one of your wins. If we have time, we'll circle back and we could maybe do a second round. Let's see how it goes. I have a win to share, but I have been talking enough. So I'll let some other folks go. Now I'll slide in a win from the We Can project, which some of you already know if you checked out our posts on social media yesterday, but I'll hold it for now. All right, so who would like to go first? And just in terms of timing, I think if we could keep our time to about 3 minutes or less, that way we should be able to get to everyone, and then of course open for conversation. And I know there will be some others joining us as well. So I love it that Ruth has been courageous today to jump right in. So proud of you, Ruth. Please do kick it off for us today with one of your wins for International Women's Day.
Hi everybody. I just want to go first because I'm still at work. But I'm so happy to be here. And again, happy Women's International Day. I feel good to be a woman and to be celebrated today. And I celebrate everyone as well. I just wanted to share because by this time last year, I was working on some other stuff. And I remember sharing with the group that I'm working on the cosmetic line for sensitive skin for myself and also for others who may go through the same situation that I went through, can stand the strong odors, strong smells, and so on. So I was able to get that, but first I was able to get my company incorporated, which means I can operate anywhere in Canada. So that's great news for me. The document, everything is official, it's all finalized, and I'm so happy and proud of that. Yay. And also this week, I got the cosmetic line confirmed. They forgot to put my name on it, the actual brand, but this is the cleanser. It's a good size. It can last for at least a month or two, and it's made from lime and coconut. And also, of course, with the facial scrub, it's made from bamboo and oatmeal. I used it and it's very simple. It's not strong at all. I'm like, if you can eat oatmeal, why not scrub your face with it? And also, this is a cucumber face cream. It's as it sounds. It's just very light on the skin. It's not strong at all. So I just wanted to share this today. In case you don't see me for the rest of the meeting, I'm gonna be here off the camera, on mute. But thank you for everything. Thank you for the support, for sharing, and have a wonderful time. And I'm listening. And congratulations to all of you already.
I'm so proud of you, Ruth. That is amazing. To create a cosmetic line out of nothing except recipes and tried and proven methods that you have been working with women's skin for so long. It's remarkable. And I know that Ruth is now into a next level of her business, which is, there's new levels, new devils, right? It's like there's new challenges at those levels. And so I'm so proud of anyone who just like pushes through those barriers and gets to the next level. So incredible. We're so proud of you, Ruth. Incredible. All right. So Stacy is up next. Stacy, I know we have two Stacys on. Stacy Love-Jolicoeur, I believe it was you that sent me a quick message, right? Go ahead. You're up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy Love-Jolicoeur, and I am use she and her for pronouns. I am the CEO of Saga LGBT Education and Support Services of Canada Incorporated. I want to do a shout out to my friend Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I see you in there. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, first of all, my name, Stacy. So I'm a trans girl, and back in 1972, when I changed from being a boy or whatever they thought it was, I chose the name Stacy for a couple of reasons. One of them being it means new life or reincarnation. So for me, it was very fitting because I was leaving him behind and moving forward with her. And it's been an absolutely amazing journey since then. Lots of ups and downs, but equivocally, the best thing that's happened was when the pandemic hit in November 2020, I formed this not-for-profit agency called Saga LGBT Education and Support Services, and it has grown exponentially over the pandemic. Unbeknown to me, it has spread Canada-wide, and I'm now servicing institutions from the East Coast to the West Coast, and the numbers that we are being able to facilitate are huge. It went from about 300 offenders now to about 500. And in December 2020, I bought a 1-800 line so that the offenders in the prison system could contact us during the pandemic. And we've had over 3,000 phone calls in that 1 year period. So absolutely incredible, and really, really a pleasure and an honor to be here. The other thing that happened to me recently was I was nominated for the Women's Leadership Award for International Women's Day, which was being held by the Italia House in Kingston. It was an absolutely fabulous event. I didn't win, but that's okay because it wasn't about winning for me. We were all winners. Everybody that was there was winners as far as I'm concerned. It was just an absolute wonderful event. If you weren't able to participate, maybe next year you could. So welcome to International Women's Day. My love is extended to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you so much, Stacy. And we've known each other for a little while now, and I never knew the meaning of your name. So thank you for sharing that aspect of yourself as well. And I did drop a note that Stacy and her organization really specifically work with the LGBTQ2S community within the Canadian prison system, which is quite a challenging place to be if you're a member of that community. So thank you, Stacy, for the work that you do. And you mentioned the event, and I'm going to go next with my win just because I don't see hands up. So go ahead and put a hand up if you'd like to be next in the queue. But Stacy mentioned a live event that was happening in Kingston just this week. And that was my win as well today, that I wanted to share that we have just announced our first live in-person event in the last 2 years, which is going to be actually on May the 17th. It's called the We Can Meet and Mingle. And it's kind of like a double pun, right? Because now we can meet and mingle. So it's very exciting. But we're very excited. I'm going to put the link to that when I switch over here to Kelly. I'll put the link to, actually, it's going to be all of our events. But please do, if you get a chance, book that sometime that morning. It's sort of a drop-in, the morning of May 17th. And we just want to meet some people in person, and there'll be some light refreshments, but it is going to be our first in-person event in more than 75 after, more than 75 virtual workshops at this point. So I'm just excited to see people's feet, although your heads and shoulders are wonderful as well. So I just want to throw that in there. Kelly, over to you.
Thanks, Kerry. So hi, everyone. Nice to see you all this morning. My name is Kelly Gardiner. I'm a senior commercial account manager with the Business Development Bank of Canada. So through my work with BDC, I get to help and support women entrepreneurs, encourage them to grow their businesses, and we offer kind of a lot of different financing and advisory services to allow that. My quick win is more of a story, just about kind of putting yourself out there and taking a little bit of a risk where you might not normally. I recently had the pleasure of attending a women in business event in Brockville that I go to pretty regularly, and they had a speaker on their panel who was Margaret Hudson of Burnbrae Farms. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with who that is, but basically she's the president, female CEO of one of the largest egg producers in Canada. Basically any eggs that you have in your fridge are probably produced through them. And they're a 5th generation Canadian family-owned business. So she's a super inspiring female entrepreneur, really an idol of mine that I've looked up to for a long time in my career. And after the meeting, we were putting together a panel for a BDC We roundtable, and my team asked me, do you have any suggestions for who we could ask? And I thought, oh, she'd be a great person to ask, and I had her contact details, but I was like, she's probably not going to be interested. She's probably not going to say yes. This is like a little bit too small for her. She might not even remember meeting me. But she replied via email right away, and she was a panel on our roundtable, and I just felt super excited to have her as part of it and get to talk to her and share her story with more women entrepreneurs. So it was a really positive experience, and I was so happy that I sent the email.
Yeah, we don't ask enough, do we? It's like, and then once we start, it's like, I find I can't stop, right? But you're like, oh, I got that yes. And then just, you keep moving on to new yeses. I love it. That's incredible. And I did not realize that story behind Burnbrae Farms. So thanks for sharing that. I'm going to check that out. I just discovered this week that Balzac's Coffee was founded by a woman from Stratford, Ontario. I didn't even understand the whole story behind Balzac's Coffee, which was very interesting. And so I've been digging more into some stories of these major Canadian brands that are female founded, and there's some really interesting history there. Very cool. All right, thanks for sharing, Kelly. And who would like to go next? And I know I'm looking at a room full of women who have had some wins, small wins, big wins, wins nonetheless.
Come on, ladies.
You know I'm going to call you out. All right, go ahead, Rita. I used to be a professor for 15 years, and I always told my students, if you don't put up your hand, I'm going to call you. No, that's not entirely true here today. But go ahead, Rita.
I saw a hand up there for Rita.
Yeah, there she goes.
Hi, good morning, and nice to see everybody. Too bad we can't meet in person right now, but we will someday, hopefully. I'm from Toronto. We have a pivoted business over here started 65 years ago by my father. And now I am, well, as it happens, I decided to kind of downscale it. It was not growing. And it happened 2 weeks later that we went into COVID. So I really had took advantage to pivot the business. And now I'm selling both to the current customers as well as hopefully the world. I'll be selling information to connect to high-tech home use, medical home use, or emergency home use for climatic issues. I have managed to put up a website, and here we go.ca. And but in that, I find that I'm having very interesting discoveries of just the world of web development and how backstabbing it is, and how everybody thinks that they can do better than what they see already. And as a designer, I know that if you gave 5 designers the same problem to solve, they would come up with 5 different problems. But I don't think they would trash each other's. Anyway, hi.
So that is an incredible story. I love that you've taken on the family business, and that in itself is remarkable, because that succession planning doesn't always happen that way. So very exciting to hear that. And you already dropped your website into the information, right, Rita?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
If anybody has a good web developer, they can help me at this point to continue into the future, I'd love to talk to you.
And so, Rita, I don't know if you're part of our free weekend community of women entrepreneurs. If not, for anyone, I'll drop the link as the next person is speaking. But a lot of times people do post in that group to say, hey, does anyone know of a great web designer or bookkeeper or professional in different areas, or just to have questions, right? Hey, I'm stuck doing this. Does anyone have a resource? So I know people post there all the time for those reasons. Do post your questions there. That's what it's for. All right, thanks so much for sharing, Rita, and happy International Women's Day to you as well. All right, who would like to go next? Go ahead, Stacy R.
It's very rare that I have 2 Stacys in the room, and thanks to the other Stacy, because now I learned the meaning of my name, which I actually didn't know. That's perfect. So happy International Women's Day, and good morning to everybody. So I have 2, and they're smaller than what everybody else is saying. One is I actually got my website up, which was a bit of an odyssey. So I can relate to you, Rita, in terms of getting it up. So it's up, and it's as good as it's going to be for right now. So I'm very happy because it was a huge learning. And so I worked with Digital Main Street actually, and there was great people there to help me. The other win that will happen by the end of this week is, it's been 20 years in the making, but I started my coach training because I have a coaching company, but I started my coach training 20 years ago. And I thought about getting my accreditation 20 years ago, but you have to acquire a certain number of hours, and the people that report to you cannot count in those hours of coaching. And so by the end of this week, I will have gone ahead to submit my application for my credential for the first level of accreditation. Yay me. 20 years later, the application will be in, and we'll see if I get the designation. So hopefully it will all go smoothly. So yeah,
I'm sure it will. it is really cool to be like, it's like, thank you for giving me the seal of approval for what I have been doing for 20 years. But sometimes that, I mean, we all have those things that we want to just get that check mark, right? Sometimes on a list. So I think that's important. And for some people that is. And so that's awesome that you're pursuing it. I have no doubt that you'll go right through. And you mentioned the Digital Main Street program. I should just slide in a note here as well. I don't know if that one's still going on, but in this week's newsletter, hopefully everyone's on my weekly newsletter. If not, I'll drop my email in there so you can get on it if you'd like to. There's a new Canada-wide program, and I forget the name of it because it's brand new. But if someone remembers, just put it into the note. But it's basically a digital program for Canadian-owned businesses. There's 2 streams you can go into. And so if you're looking for digital support for websites or in other ways, there's one for more growth, and then there's one for just, I think, launching just at the beginning. So that was in the newsletter on Monday, but it will be again in the newsletter next week. So if anybody wants to get onto that newsletter, basically we just put out a weekly update on opportunities like that. It's free. It's like great to have support, especially if that's not your thing. So thanks for mentioning that. And yeah, and happy International Women's Day to you as well, Stacey. All right, so, and hi, Kristine, who's joining us now as well. Great to see you. Who would like to go next? Oh, thank you for that. Yes, Digital Adoption Program. Thank you, Kelly.
No problem.
She's right on it. I love it. Good, thank you so much. So that's the Digital Adoption Program, which has some you don't adopt anything digital, but it's not like a little digital dog, or, you know, there's some games like that. Not so much. All right, who would like to go next and share a win that has happened recently? I keep looking at Sarah Delaney's graphic, which has a hand up, and I want to keep calling on it, but I won't until I actually see her hand up. Kelly Schwab, go ahead.
Hi, Kelly Schwab. Friends with Stacy, the other Stacy, the Stacy Love. Yeah, we did. We went out to did a Eastern Ontario trip and interviewed her. A friend and I are doing a documentary across Canada on LGBT, well, trans and non-binary men and women. So that was lovely to meet her. I started a business. I got a chance to go back to school and started a business about 9 months ago. So it's just a baby, but I got a client, and as my first client, so first real client for my business, which is kind of cool. And she works exclusively with LGBTQ and people that have difficulties with employment. So disabled people, differently able people, sorry. And she's absolutely a delight to work with. I wish all clients were like her. So I'm doing social media marketing and website design and whatnot. So, hey, Rita. Anyway.
That's awesome.
I know a girl.
I think everyone can relate to when you said got my first client. I mean, we all remember who that first client was. I feel like their picture should be on our wall, because it's like validation that I actually have a service that someone is willing to pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It is. And it's just the beginning. And
she's like a dream client. She's got a background in graphic design. So we actually speak the same kind of weird geek language.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better. Oh, congratulations. That's awesome, Kelly. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. That is fantastic.
I'm also trans, and I upgraded to womanhood about 1.5 years ago.
Awesome. That is so exciting. And the other Stacy has noted, or sorry, not the other, but Stacy, one of our Stacys, has noted as well that she hung up her first dollar. And I remember when there was actually dollars, right? And people used to put those in plaques. Now I find it's a smaller plaque with the loonie, but that's awesome. All right, so who else would like to go next? And happy International Day to you, Kelly. Who would like to either raise their hand, or you can just unmute if you like. Don't you be shy. Oh, go ahead, JJ. I see JJ's hand up, and then, oh, there's 2 JJs, so Oh no, and then Sarah, that's what's happening. My screen just went all wonky for a second. JJ, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much. I really appreciate this and being a part of this call today. And happy International Women's Day to everyone on the call. I'm a third year business administration marketing student, just finishing up at St. Lawrence College. And during the summer of my second year, I got duly licensed in life insurance and investments, and I've since begun to grow my business. I can put my websites in the chat as well after, but I'm essentially looking to duplicate the process, train, and motivate others to essentially, do what I've done and grow it across North America. And so I'm just so excited because I got a recent promotion as well over Christmas break. So very recent. But yeah, the future is so bright, and I'm just so excited to, graduate this April, and then our company convention this June. And yeah, it's just ready to explode. So like I say,
I
I'm
love
just,
it.
thank you so much.
Congratulations. That's amazing, JJ. And I love to hear from young women entrepreneurs in our region, because it is so important that, we have this ecosystem when there's not only, people at mid-level and, people have been in business for 20 years, but also, people starting out who can turn to and look for mentorship from some of these other folks. JJ, I don't know if you're aware, but we do have within the Weekend Project a Connect program specifically for women under 40. So if that's of interest, definitely reach out to me. I am going to put my email into the chat. I realized just now I didn't do that when I said I would before, but I will.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you on the call.
Thank you. That would be of very much interest. And thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. All right, over to Sarah, who's moved on my screen. Oh, there she is. Sarah Delaney, go ahead. I can see your face now, so I know your hand is up.
I figured I would raise my actual hand since my picture hand was there. So I started my business back in January of 2020 before all of this COVID baloney happened. So I really kind of only got launched in June. My success for this week is actually more personal than it is business. At 50 years old, I have recently had an ADD assessment, diagnosis, and started medication. And I cannot say how amazing the changes have been. What it allowed me to do in the last week, I got more done in my business in the last week than I have had done in the last 6 months added together. So I encourage anybody who is struggling with that, do a little bit of research. It's an expensive assessment because it is not covered under your medication plans. And if you don't have benefits as an entrepreneur, it gets a little bit complicated, but it is worthwhile. In this last week, I submitted 4 RFPs and a 4th version of a proposal, which is an enormous opportunity for me. I'm a retail business consultant, so I usually work with small and medium-sized businesses, independent retailers. This is to revitalize a shopping mall. And I was getting in my own way. And so, yeah, I strongly advocate you to advocate for yourselves, for your health. It's amazing, the results. So that's my accomplishment this week.
And that is such an important lesson for every single one of us. You're getting a standing ovation all around. If we could stand and still be on Zoom, we would be standing. That's amazing, Sarah, but you're absolutely right. And I think that this day where we pause and we look at our wins and we assess, we realize that it is when we put our own mental and physical health first. That's the bottom line. That's the baseline, and everything builds on top of that, where I think sometimes we try to flip that, and it's going to crumble if we're not taking care of ourselves and advocating as well, as you mentioned. So very cool. Thanks for sharing that. All right, who would like to go next with a win, something that has happened in recent days? Or I know there's some of you on our that are in our mastermind, and I chuckle because I know that you guys share regularly already, but don't be shy. If I've heard it before, the group hasn't heard it, so that's okay too. All right, anyone else like to go? I'm just gonna look, make sure I don't miss.
I'll go.
Kristine, is that you?
I'll go,
Okay, yes,
sure.
please, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kristine with Maple Leaf Tours. I own a tour, travel, and cruise agency here in Kingston with a second office in Belleville. So we've really been flatlined over the last 2 years. There's been no travel. It's kind of really sucked and taken a huge hit. But things are starting to open up. We've actually seen movement this week, which is exciting. But a win for me is I have just added on a team member who is a travel agent. So we're expanding outside of the group market, like our retail groups, to offer individual travel. So we had it in our office when, somebody would be on one of our group tours to Nashville or New York or PEI, they'd come back and they were so happy with the service. They'd say, oh my gosh, we want to do a Disney cruise. And we would say, I'm sorry, we don't do that. And they'd walk down the street to whoever and do that. So now we've expanded to bring in this person. So if we have clients who are wanting to do one-offs, then we have her now here on our team instead of sending those clients away, which we have done a ton of. Somebody wanted to book an all-inclusive. We say, sorry, we don't do that. Somebody would want to book a Cosmos or Globus tour in Europe, and we don't do that. So we've brought that in. So that's been a really big win. And this week she started yesterday. So it's been just huge getting that all up and organized now. So, and then we're going to add another same team member in Belleville. So that's kind of exciting for us. And she's a Disney specialist and a Riu Dominican, or I guess Caribbean specialist. So she's really, really knowledgeable. She's moved here from Ottawa. And so that's exciting for us.
It sure is. And Kristine, I remember when you posted a couple weeks ago that you were in New York City. I was just thrilled that people were like, every time I see someone traveling right now, I'm like, woohoo, like, look at the people traveling.
Yes.
It was take for granted, eh?
It's crazy. And being in New York was amazing. I hit 3 Broadway shows and, saw Hugh Jackman, in his new production of Music Man. It was fantastic. But, it was you had to have your PCR test to come back still at that time. And in New York, it was the most insane thing because on every city block, there's free testing. Wow. PCR and rapid antigen, free. I couldn't believe it. I took pictures and you could see booths and all you needed was your name and your email. That's it. And,
wow. Welcome to 2022.
Honestly. And I took pictures because you could see the tents, the pop-up tents on every block. On one block, I saw 3 of them. And but it's just become very, and it says right on it, free for international travel.
No kidding. Well, you know what? I hope that some of you are planning a trip, and if you do, you know where you can also go now. That's exciting. I mean, I'm excited to see that integration because I know you've been in business a number of years, Kristine, and so to learn from that and now to integrate that as you were pivoting, I hate that word, but as we realign, whatever the word is using now.
Honestly, and the Canadian government now has lifted its a warning on cruising in Canada. Right. So now that's going to be big because we do a lot of cruising from Quebec City up to the Maritimes, Canada, New England. So that's really going to be, a great boom for us. But, there's still so much up in the air with travel, especially everybody's flooding to the south, Florida, everybody. And it's, people are going, they're just not saying it. I don't know if people, everybody knows somebody who's down south right now. They're just not putting it on social, because they're not going to be shamed, but it's starting to move. So
I think it's opening though. I think it is. Yeah.
Like from a show of hands here, who's going away somewhere? Who's got plans to travel? One.
Good for you, Tegan. I'm moving this year, so all my money is going into the move. So
yeah. Well, I'm heading to Hawaii in May, so that should be, that'll be open. It's
conference. You're kind of obligated when you're in the travel industry.
Yeah. It's a conference, so I think I'll go to that one.
Good for you. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, and happy International Women's Day to you as well.
Thanks.
All right. So who would like to go next? Now that we're talking about travel, we're getting our mojo going. Hopefully your Java, your coffee is kicking in. Yes, go ahead, Tegan.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's great to see so many women on here and so many women I've connected with too. That's pretty awesome. It's nice to put a face to you, Kelly Gardiner, because we actually spoke when I was first thinking of starting the business. We spoke on the phone, so it's nice to see you on here. That was a surprise. So over the weekend, everybody knows what happened to the gas prices. They skyrocketed, and we're a delivery company at YGK Takeaway. We deliver retail and food for small local businesses in the Kingston and surrounding area. So obviously we're very affected by the gas prices that have hiked up. So I was totally consumed by that all weekend, and you know, trying to run numbers to figure out our pricing structure. And I was really anxious to reach out to our merchants, our vendors, and talk to them about how we're going to have to, unfortunately, up our pricing because of the gas prices. So it took me like probably into the afternoon yesterday to get the courage to finally message them. And the response was actually very supportive, and everybody really understood, you know, the need for us to raise our pricing. So it just was, you know, really rewarding for me to feel that support from my vendors, because, you know, it didn't feel good that we had to up our prices. So that was a small win for me.
And I think it sets a great precedent for any of us who ever have bad news to deliver to clients or to partners. It doesn't, you know, sometimes it's just, we underestimate the humanity of people who also were filling their own gas tanks this weekend. I filled it $1.85. What? But Tegan, I'm not in the business of delivering things. And I did, as I was doing, I was like thinking of transport companies, and I was thinking of local delivery courier companies. And yes, that is extraordinary what you now are facing, but you have made a solid decision move. And as a young business owner, an early business owner, I think that's incredible, because that will just get easier as you keep making hard decisions and important necessary decisions. So I'm so proud of you. I love it. I love it. Tegan and I work together in the different coaching sessions for the weekend project. So it's great to see when things just move ahead. It's exciting, very exciting. Awesome. All right. So let me just check our time. Yep, we're still good. We can still fit in some wins, and I know some of you have some. So who would like to go next? Oh, I'll go Cheyenne, and then Rita, you're right after Cheyenne.
So at Christmas time, I came up with the idea for a local magazine for Quinte West featuring local businesses. And there was a lot of enthusiasm and energy around it. It was really well received. It was a really great project. And I had this underlying fear that, you know, maybe it was a one and done kind of thing, right? Like, I really have this vision of being able to perpetually promote the local businesses in this way, but I wasn't sure if it would be viable. And now I'm moving on to planning the 3rd edition, and the enthusiasm is through the roof. Like, it's higher than it was before. So like, that's such a huge win for me to see that this really has a future.
Yeah, and did you put a link to that, the most recent health and wellness magazine issue in the chat?
No, but I can drop that now.
Okay, yeah, could you drop that? Because yeah, Cheyenne's doing remarkable stuff with regards to marketing local businesses in the Quinte West region, and has this regular now kind of a magazine that comes out online, digital magazine. She's created incredibly well. And I saw the Christmas one and was blown away, or it was more the holiday, because it was like a wish list of local businesses. And so a fabulous idea. And so I'm glad that you're getting traction there, and it's only going to grow. I was listening to a podcast this morning, and you all know I love podcasts. So I was listening, I was like, the podcaster was reminding, because I already knew this, was reminding you need to stick with something for at least a year before you're going to even have a chance of traction. And so many people give up after a month or 2 or 6 or 8, not realizing that tipping point, when it comes, it could just really take you to the next level. So I just find so many women in particular quit too early, right? So I love that not episode, but your issue number 3 is getting traction, and is I think that's just going to grow. So I hope that's something, you know, that might help some others as well, who are just like maybe in the early stage and struggling. You know, give it some time and keep at it. Be consistent. I'm so proud of you, Cheyenne. That's awesome. Did you drop that into the chat as well? Fabulous. Thank you for that.
So I have a question. Sorry, people are dropping their information into the chat. Are we going to have access? I mean, I already asked Kelly and JJ to email me their information, but how do we get these?
Yeah, sure.
these
So
links in the
anyone
chat?
who would like a copy of the meeting chat, I can just go ahead and email me. I'll put my email in there another time. You know, I know you know it, Kristine, but
Yeah.
anyone who would like it, hopefully I got that right. There we go. And I will send you a copy of the meeting chat so that you have everybody's contact info. I know it's hard to copy it down during these events for sure.
Yeah, because Cheyenne, I think that's really interesting for me in my Belleville office. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
Do you have a travel issue coming up, Cheyenne? I'm curious, are you allowed to say what the third theme is?
This one is weddings, and then I have a food and farmers, and then I have local adventures, which will be all around traveling. And even the wedding has, right, like the honeymoon destination travel aspect to it.
Oh, nice. There you go. I love those themes. They're so cool. And yes, we're right in that. Talk about another industry that's been hard hit by COVID, that wedding industry, and a lot of women entrepreneurs affected because most of them that I know are owned by women. Remarkable. Absolutely. All right. So thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that, Cheyenne. And then I said it over to Rita. Go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to share that I probably went to my first International Women's Day event in Toronto at University of Toronto in the late 70s. And I was sharing that with my friend, reminiscing about it with my friend who's based in Venice now, who's also a senior and is the director of a Glass Institute of Artists and Artisans there, and is very active. So it's kind of fun to remember that at that time that I didn't realize it was just women in the Women's Day. I went to this event and there were lesbian mothers there, there were Marxist-Leninists there were a lot of other piggybackers of different groups that use that platform to march and have a presence. So it was kind of interesting to again see that happen in Ottawa a few weeks ago, which wasn't too good of an example, but anyways, it does happen. But I'm wondering if I can piggyback on this scenario of brilliant women to see if anybody's aware of any kind of senior entrepreneur groups of any kind, because I'm surrounded by people who say they're never going to retire, most of whom have worked for themselves their entire life. And I think it's a group that has big buying power and should be more recognized. And I wondered if anybody's heard of anything.
So we'll throw that out there. I know that there's one group that I've heard, I think it was called Wise 50 or something. And I know this is being recorded and later I'll be like, no, Kerry, that was not the name at all. But there's an award. I know that because one of our clients received it. And it was, I believe, for over 50 entrepreneurs. And I don't even remember. I don't think it's only women. Does anyone else have any reference to any groups like that? And if not, I completely agree, Rita, that it's an overlooked area. I mean, I love women under 40 and women, young women entrepreneurs who are just getting started and they need a certain type of sport. But then there's also, women who are maybe of retirement age, but not ready to retire, as you say, who are taking these skills, by the thousands of these women and turning them into businesses, especially during COVID, we've seen that happen, whether it's coaching businesses or consultancies, all sorts of different types of businesses. And does that ring a bell with anyone, any groups that come to mind? Go ahead, Jackie.
I dropped the link in the chat. Seniors Business, I think, is Seniors in Business, something like that.
Oh, excellent. Oh yeah, WISE. So that's it. Yeah, it's the WISE organization. And so a friend of mine I know did win because they have a WISE award. And so she had won that with her company. That's how I first learned about it. So yes, definitely check that out. And I don't know a whole lot about it, except that was one aspect where I had intersected with
For those
WISE.
of us who are in the later stages of our careers.
Can you speak to that at all, Jackie, that organization?
No, I don't know.
No.
Okay. I don't know much about them. I know of their existence. I haven't engaged with them.
Okay.
Knew when you mentioned them, I just knew of them.
Yeah.
It just happens to be my age group.
Sure. I'm getting
Yeah.
closer every day, so.
Yeah, I
This year I
crossed
turned the
over.
big 5-0, so then I'll be, I don't know if I'll
I'm
be.
ahead of you by a decade. I turned the big 6-0. Yeah.
Oh, it's all
so
good. Every
I-
decade's got
it's all
its
good.
thing.
Hey, it's a privilege, right?
It sure is. Oh my goodness, that's
And
for
don't
sure.
forget, it's only a number too.
Yeah,
Absolutely, Stacy. One thing while I'm talking is I got to say something. For a minute, there was 3 Stacys in the room, and one Stacy left, but there was 3 of you in the room with the same spelling, I might add. So I had to name that because that just doesn't happen. But if I may, while I'm here and speaking, is talking about a win, and from me, and this leads off of your perseverance statement, Kerry, is that we just had a client engage in sign their 3rd annual contract. So it's about the consistency, and yeah, you just got to hang on, right? Keep going.
and I think that's like, a lot of people don't say that enough because it's not flashy, and it's not like, consistency is not sexy. Like that's not a big buzzword. It's like, be consistent. Like, I mean, and I can't tell you how many times I have that conversation a day with them. I'm like, just hang in there and just be consistent. And yes, you have to be making enough money to be living, and I totally get that, but you know, making it work and not giving up, but sticking in there and listening to the clients and adjusting as necessary, of course. And yeah, there's a power that comes from consistency. So I think, thanks for sharing that, because it's good to hear that from folks who have been in business a little longer.
I just want to say, JJ, I spent 27 years in the path that you're just starting. So if you ever want to, and I actually do a bit of, I have been in that program that Kerry mentioned, that connects. So certainly reach out if you ever want to talk.
Yes, definitely. You know what? I was actually glad to hear you reach out to me. I was just getting my car fixed, and I was just explaining to this woman that was there waiting as well that, you know, what program I was in, and she mentioned you and that I should know you. And so
Yeah, well, 27 years is a long time. There's a few people who end up knowing your name. Yeah, definitely. I'll drop my email in the chat.
We will connect. Thank you.
You're welcome, JJ. Good luck.
And as Jackie just mentioned, part of the Connect program is, and so this is for anyone who's not a woman under 40, but maybe you've been in business, is that we have what's called coffee chats. And so we connect, literally, our Connect participants with women who have been in business longer, and they have regular coffee chats. And sort of, it's a bit of a mentorship program, but you know, there's not a lot of time that's involved. So if anyone is interested, you've been in business for a while, I mean, our clients so often want to give back to younger or earlier stage entrepreneurs, then reach out to me as well, because I know that the Connect program is always looking for coffee chat mentors, as we call them. And so, yeah, if that's something of interest, then go ahead and let me know as well. All right. So who would like to go next? Anyone else have any more wins in the room? I'm going to leave today on a bit of a high. I know that. I always do anyways, but this particular topic, I think, is going to make me feel like I can go out and jump over hedges and all those things. My cape, my Wonder Woman vest.
Not a win, Kerry, but I just wanted to comment on Rita's comment, because it's really, and Jackie mentioned it too, I find that when I'm in groups, there are definitely a couple of streams of people, so younger people, and I'm on the, sorry, my puppy's here, on the north end of the 50 as well. But there's a second group in there that I think is underrepresented, so I appreciate, Jackie, that you put the Ys in there, which are people like me who have chosen to leave the corporate world and start their own business as a retirement. It's not really, you mentioned that to me one day, Kerry, it's like, yeah, okay, you had whatever many months off, and then you went back in to try and start a business. But there is a second group there that are people that are in the second portion of their career, that are looking to start a business. So just, I thought it's an interesting comment. I think it is an underrepresented market potentially.
You're right. Jackie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just Jane Fonda's, I think of the third act that when Stacy uses that word, but absolutely, I think we feel like we still have lots to contribute. Right?
And you do, because you do. Yes, absolutely. And it's that shifting of expectations, right? And I mean, and Stacy, I think Stacy Love-Jolicoeur had mentioned, it's just a number. It's true. Sometimes we get hung up on numbers, and it's like, no, there is still a lot of gas left in this tank. So where do we want to go? Where do we want to go next? And the fun thing I think about being a little bit later in life is that you have a few more options about where you want to go. And so deciding that is empowering for sure. Yes, thank you for sharing that. And I would love to see, like, I know Rita, you talked about maybe you're starting something. We have an example of a group in the chat, but even, whether it's at the local level or Ontario level, whatever it might be, whenever I hear someone saying there should be this, I'm like, you need to start it. If you know me at all, you know that I'm a big believer in it, that when you identify a gap, it's probably the universe saying, look, here's a gap. You need to get together a group or one other person if you feel underconfident to start it on your own, although I'm sure this group does not. But just start it in a small way. And I've seen it. I've seen things like that take root and grow and flourish. So yeah, go all in. This is your year. There you go. Permission slip. Done. Love it. All right. So we've got just a couple minutes left in the day, but I don't want to miss anyone. Any other, if there's wins to share or follow up on maybe some of the other comments that have been made here today. I know that our wins look different and they sometimes we've called them small, but I don't think there's any small wins. I really think that every win just builds, and sometimes we look for the big wins, those are few and far between. So celebrating that small stuff, that's the stuff that magic's made of, I think, and the place to find joy every day. Yeah. My win is getting to be with, incredible folks like you as well every day. It's absolutely motivating. Stacy, over to you. Stacy L. Oh, you're still on mute, hon. She knew it. She knew it as soon as you.
There we go. I just wanted to add to that, about finding that little niche market and, growing with it, right? So a perfect example is what happened to me. So back in 2014, I was working with Canadian Mental Health, and my supervisor asked me to go to a prison one day to meet with one person. And from that one person, now to a national agency servicing over 400, 300 more people, has grown exponentially. So we always, don't necessarily see the opportunity in front of us until it's actually there, right? So we have to go with that gut feeling. And I think as women, we have that kind of extra sense to see that there is a possibility for something better. So kudos to everybody here, and thank you for allowing me that moment there, Kerry.
Yeah, that intuition that you mentioned is, or whatever you want to call it, that when we notice things, it's not by accident. I say that all the time. It's not by accident that you have noticed that. So what are you going to do with it? Because then sometimes I think eventually it will happen, right? But it just could be slowed down because we didn't take action. Like it could have started with us, but instead it had to wait 2 more years till somebody else had the idea. So especially if it's something you're passionate about and you really, or that gets you riled up, or that, gets your blood going, that might be a good sign.
It's not the information, but what we do with that information. Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, and who it's going to impact, right? There's always a person, like you said, Stacy, it started with one. It always starts with one. It really does, I think. Yeah. All right. Would anyone like the last word today? Ooh, women, we like to have the last word. Would anyone like to have the last word as we're wrapping up today's celebration? And I know many of you are going to go on and do some other events today, so I hope that this kicked you off on a positive note. Anyone else have anything?
I just want to add one more thing, if I may. So I posted in the chat, please join us for the Wellness Expo on May the 7th from 10 to 4 p.m. at the City Hall in beautiful downtown Belleville. This is being hosted by the Mental Health and Addictions Agency in Belleville. And they've created an action table to address mental health and wellness within the community. So for those entrepreneurs that are here, that are part of the mental health and wellness of people, you know, you may not consider your business to be mental health and wellness, but many of you are providing services or products that are very important to us for our own mental health and wellness. So don't negate yourself by thinking, oh, well, I manufacture cosmetics. How can that be, right? Because that's an important element of everybody's mental health and wellness. As we all know, as women, one of the first things we do is put our face on, right? So, you know, use those as resources to grow your business and be part of the community as well. Thank you.
Love that. Great advice. And I just put a link to something. I hope the link works, but I'm on a panel this afternoon with the Belleville Public Library. It's a female entrepreneur panel. So if anyone's looking for something else to do this afternoon, by all means, go ahead and join us. You can watch that panel inside the Belleville Public Library's Facebook group, or there is a separate link as well. I don't have that at the ready because I didn't have it right here. But anyways, just if someone looking for something else to do today.
So if we send you an email, then Kerry, will we get this link? Because I don't have a way. Okay. Thank you.
Send me a note and I'll make sure that it will be in the meeting chat as well. So if you request that, for sure.
Okay.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being a part of today's call and just for taking some time out to celebrate yourselves, right? And to celebrate each other, of course. And so if I were to leave you with sort of a word today, I would say, like, use today to even reach out or in a public way on social media or somehow just to shine a spotlight on another woman entrepreneur, perhaps a business. We all know when we get that shout out how much it means to us. Imagine, I mean, how it must feel to someone else. So let's just keep that love going today. Let's spread a little bit of that appreciation. Really and I do want to say one more time, thanks to every single one of you for being a part of this.
So good. So good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And happy International Women's Day. So great to have you on the call. Take care.